The story of Terence Crawford becoming the most frightening man in boxing was not written in a single punch, or even a single night. It was carved slowly, patiently, round by round, mistake by mistake, opponent by opponent. But there was one fight, one stretch of violence and brilliance that changed how the entire sport looked at him. One performance that stopped debates mid-sentence and replaced curiosity with fear. Because after that night, Terence "Bud" Crawford was no longer just respected. He was anticipated with dread. For years, Crawford had been telling the boxing world exactly who he was. Not loudly. Not with trash talk or viral moments. He let his fists do the speaking, his mind do the shouting. While other fighters played checkers, Bud Crawford was solving problems that most fighters didn't even realize existed yet. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He gathered information, stored it away, and then dismantled opponents with chilling calm. He was a finisher, yes, but more than that. He was a thinker who could turn cruelty on and off like a switch. Before the boxing world truly understood how dangerous that combination was, there was Victor Palt in 2016. Terence Crawford entered the ring undefeated. Already feared by those who had studied him closely, but still questioned by others who wanted to see him tested against a tall, disciplined technician. Postal was exactly that. A towering Ukrainian with sharp fundamentals. Fresh off a shocking knockout of Lucas Mathis, a man many believed was nearly impossible to stop. Postal wasn't loud. He wasn't flashy. He was precise, patient, and confident in his tools. And with the WBC and WBO junior welterweight titles on the line, this wasn't just another defense. It was a measuring stick. From the opening bell, the fight unfolded like a chess match. Both men probed with jabs, cautious and calculating. Postal used his length well, keeping Crawford at bay, touching him to the body, forcing Bud to think. Crawford, as he often does, started slow. He switched stances early, spent time southpaw, then orthodox, then back again. Not to confuse the audience, but to confuse the man in front of him. He wasn't looking to win the early rounds decisively. He was collecting data. This is where Terence Crawford separates himself from most fighters. He doesn't fight emotionally. He fights intellectually. Every jab Postal threw told Crawford something. Every step backward revealed a habit. Every pause exposed a weakness. And while the early rounds were close, even competitive, something was happening beneath the surface. Crawford was adjusting in real time. By the third and fourth rounds, his confidence began to show. His footwork sharpened, his angles tightened. He started getting to Postal's body, not with reckless aggression, but with deliberate intent. Each shot downstairs was an investment. Each counter was a message. The crowd could feel the momentum shifting, even if the scorecards still looked close. Then came round 5. This was the moment the fight transformed from a technical contest into a statement. Crawford stepped in with sharper intent, his punches carrying more authority. A quick shot caused Postal's knee to brush the canvas. Some called it a slip. Some called it a knockdown. But moments later, there was no debate. Crawford landed a clean, fast left hand that sent Postal down again, this time unmistakably. The timing was perfect. The execution was ruthless. And suddenly, the entire fight tilted on its axis. From that point on, Victor Postal was no longer fighting to win. He was fighting to survive. Crawford smelled it. You could see it in his posture, in the way he walked Postal down without rushing, in the way he pulled him in close and denied him space to retaliate. By round 6 and 7, Postal's jab was neutralized. His movement slowed. His discipline cracked. Crawford was now in full control, slipping shots by inches, countering with precision, turning defense into offense seamlessly. By round 8, it was dominance. Crawford drove Postal backward with stiff jabs and right hands, and closed the round with a late flurry that left no doubt about who owned the ring. The gap widened every round. Postal tried to hang on, tried to find something, anything. But Crawford had already solved him completely. Even in the final round, Crawford toyed with him. He taunted him, He hunted for a knockout that never quite came, not because it wasn't possible, but because Crawford didn't need it. He had proven his point. Over 12 rounds, he had dismantled a dangerous champion with intelligence, adaptability, and controlled violence. When the final bell rang, Crawford smiled. He knew what this meant. That night, Terence Crawford didn't just beat Victor Postal. He announced himself as something different, something colder, something scarier. But the transformation didn't stop there. In 2018, Crawford moved up to welterweight and took on Jose Benavidez Jr., a fight filled with tension and disrespect. Benavidez dismissed Crawford openly, calling him ordinary, questioning why anyone feared him. It was the kind of talk that usually fuels highlight reels. Crawford didn't respond with words. He responded with patience. From the opening rounds, Crawford controlled the distance, working behind the jab, touching the body, forcing Benavidez to reset again and again. Benavidez had moments, landed a few solid shots, but every time he did, Crawford answered back, cleaner, sharper, more composed. As the rounds passed, the difference in class became clearer. Crawford's punch selection was superior. His movement was smoother. His ability to fight inside and outside left Benavidez guessing by the later rounds. Benavidez was tired, covering up, standing directly in front of a man who punishes mistakes mercilessly. That was the mistake. Crawford landed a crushing right uppercut late in the fight, dropped Benavidez and swarmed him with unanswered punches until the referee stepped in. It wasn't just a stoppage. It was a reminder. Antagonizing Terence Crawford doesn't make him reckless. It makes him surgical. Still, there were doubters. There always are. They pointed to the lack of adversity. They wondered what would happen if Crawford got hurt. If he couldn't dictate the pace, if someone forced him into a war, then came Edgy DeJesus Cavallioscas, the mean machine. This fight was different from the start. Cavallioscas was strong, aggressive, and unafraid. He didn't respect Crawford's aura. He didn't back down. He landed early. And for the first time in a long while, Terence Crawford looked uncomfortable. In the early rounds, Cavallioscas caught him with heavy right hands, staggered him, forced him into exchanges he didn't need to be in. For a moment, the questions returned, and this is where the legend truly took shape. Crawford didn't panic. He didn't retreat into survival mode. He adjusted. He changed stance. He slowed the fight down just enough to regain control, then gradually turned up the pressure. By round 5, he began attacking the body, testing Cavallioscas' durability. He felt something. A crack. A hesitation. Once Crawford smells weakness, the fight is over. From that moment on, he became relentless. He slipped punches, countered cleanly, and forced Cavallioscas backward. In round 7, Crawford dropped him with a perfectly timed combination. In round 8, he unleashed hell. Uppercuts, hooks, straight shots, all flowing together with terrifying rhythm. Cavallioscas went down again. The referee had no choice. It was over. That fight changed everything because Terence Crawford had been hurt. He had been tested. He had been pushed into danger. And instead of folding, he adapted, escalated, and destroyed the threat in front of him. That is what makes fighters terrifying. Not perfection, but the ability to become more dangerous when things go wrong. After that night, opponents didn't just prepare for Crawford's skill. They prepared for his mind. They prepared for a man who could lose a round, get clipped, feel pressure, and still calmly find the solution that ends your night. A man who doesn't rush knockouts, but welcomes them when they present themselves. A man who understands that fear is not loud. It's quiet. It's calculated. Terence Crawford is patience under fire, intelligence under pressure, ruthlessness when the moment demands it. He doesn't need chaos to win. He creates it when he wants to. He doesn't chase greatness. He dismantles anyone standing in its way. So now the question isn't whether Terence Crawford is scary. That debate ended a long time ago. The real question is where he ranks among the greatest fighters the sport has ever seen. Is he the pound-for-pound king of his era? Is he an all-time great? Or is his story still being written? Let me know what you think in the comments. Which fight, in your opinion, truly made Terence Crawford the scariest boxer in the world? Do you believe anyone can beat him at his best? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more deep dive boxing stories told the way they deserve to be told.